All right, let's get right into it. When we think about being trustworthy, what usually comes to mind? Probably, convincing people to have faith in you. But what if I told you the real secret, the actual key to being trusted, is to make trust completely unnecessary? Yeah, I know, it sounds a little backward, but stick with me because it's a really powerful shift in how we think about this. And this quote right here from Paul Vasquez, it just hits the nail on the head. I don't want you to have to trust me. Think about that for a second. It's basically saying, I refuse to ask you for a leap of faith. The whole goal is to build a system so rock solid, so transparent, that faith, well, it isn't even part of the equation anymore.
So that leads us to the big question, right? How in the world do you become trustworthy without ever asking for trust? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down here. We're going to move away from this kind of fuzzy, vague idea of trust and into something way more concrete, a system of proof.
Okay, so first up, the trust me problem. We need to talk about why just asking for blind trust is, well, it's a pretty flawed strategy. Let's start by looking at the usual approach and exactly why it doesn't work. We've all heard it, and hey, we've probably all said it at some point, just trust me. But here's the thing, relying on that phrase, it's actually a sign of a really weak position.
And this is the crucial mind shift. The goal isn't asking for trust, it's making trust totally irrelevant. See, when you stop trying to win someone's trust and instead focus on creating just overwhelming evidence of your value, trust becomes a natural byproduct. It's not something you need to get started, it's something that just happens because of your process.
All right, so let's build on that. The next step is to build trust without asking for it. This is really a philosophical shift, moving away from faith and towards evidence. We're getting out of the world of abstract ideas and into the concrete world of proof. It's all about showing, not just telling. So the key concept here has a name: evidentiary qualities. Now that sounds a little formal, but the idea is simple. This isn't about feelings or promises, not at all. It's about creating real, tangible stuff, documents, records, systems that act as undeniable proof that you do what you say you're going to do. Simple as that.
Okay, so how do we actually do this? How do we make this mental shift? Well, it breaks down into 3 pretty simple steps. Step 1, just stop asking for blind trust. Consciously stop using trust me as a crutch. Step 2, start creating transparent systems. Actively design them so that they're open and clear by default. And finally, step 3, let the evidence speak for itself. You've got to learn to step back and let the proof you've created do all the talking for you.
Okay, enough with the theory, right? Let's see how this actually works in the real world. Because this isn't just some abstract idea, it's a super practical strategy. We're going to look at 2 real-world examples you can use today. 2 simple but incredibly effective systems that basically generate proof all on their own. First up, example number 1, the engagement letter. Now, you might hear that and think, oh, that's just a boring formal contract. But its real power is in creating crystal clear clarity and solid evidence right from the very beginning of a project. I mean, just look at what this one single document does. It proves so much. It outlines the terms, it sets super clear expectations for both sides, and it defines who's responsible for what and when it's due. The point is, it eliminates all that gray area before the work even starts. This isn't about trust, it's about mutual understanding. There's just no room for confusion down the line.
All right, example number 2 is something we've all seen, the itemized invoice. But hold on, we're not talking about a bill with just one line and a total at the bottom. No way. We're talking about a super detailed itemized invoice that basically tells the whole story of the work you did.
Think about what a good itemized invoice proves. It tracks everything. Every email, every phone call. It details exactly how much time was spent on specific tasks. It shows every little action, from bookkeeping to payroll. It becomes this running log of your effort, providing black and white proof of the value you delivered. You're not asking them to trust that you did the work. You're literally handing them a receipt that proves it.
And the result of all this? You never have to say, trust me. Why would you? The proof is right there. When you use systems like these, the whole conversation just changes. Those little nagging questions about your effort or your value, they just disappear because the proof is already in their hands. The system itself is doing the trust building for you.
Okay, so let's zoom out a little bit and talk about how to become that trustworthy example.
Because this idea of providing proof, it isn't just for business systems. It's really a principle you can apply to almost anything, beyond just contracts and invoices.
And there's this fantastic analogy of the cook that explains it perfectly. Imagine someone promises you a good meal, but every time you see them, they just serve you cold, soggy cereal. Are you going to trust their promise? Of course not. But now imagine someone else who also promises a good meal, and they have a long history of cooking you amazing food. You don't need them to say, "Trust me," you already know they're going to deliver. Their history, their past actions, that's the evidence. Your track record becomes the proof. And that really brings us to the ultimate takeaway here, captured in this quote. If you want to surround yourself with trustworthy people, give them an example of what trustworthy looks like. See, trust isn't something you demand from other people. It's a standard you set for yourself. When you operate with total transparency, when you provide proof of your integrity, you don't just become trustworthy, you start attracting other people who operate the same way. You're leading by example. So I want to leave you with this question to think about. What's one system you can build to show, not just tell, your value? It doesn't have to be complicated. Whether it's in your job, your side hustle, or even just a personal project, what's one simple thing you can start doing today that will provide clear, undeniable evidence of your effort and your worth?